Companies continue to expand across borders, and the global marketplace becomes increasingly more accessible for small and large businesses. Therefore, it is vital for organizations to understand cultural differences as they can affect the performance in the local markets they are targeting. While there are a number of ways to define culture, put simply, it is a set of common and accepted norms shared by a society. But in an international business context, what is common and accepted for a professional from one country could be very different for a colleague from overseas. Recognizing and understanding how culture affects international business in three core areas: communication, etiquette, and organizational hierarchy can help you to avoid misunderstandings with colleagues and clients from abroad and in a globalized business environment. Effective communication is essential to business success, whether you're a startup or a big corporation, but is particularly critically when there is a real risk of your message getting lost in translation. In many international companies, English is the language of business. But more than just the language you speak, it's how you convey your message that's important. You need to understand the language of your target market and know how to use it to convey your message successfully. For instance, while the Finns may value directness and brevity, business professionals from India typically communicate more indirect and nuanced. But aside from verbal communication, understanding the importance of subtle nonverbal communication between cultures can be equally crucial in international business. What might be commonplace in your culture, be it a firm handshake, making direct eye contact, or a kiss on the cheek, could be unusual or even offensive to a foreign colleague or client. Where possible, do your research in advance of professional interactions with individuals from a different culture. Remember to be perceptive to body language, and at times it is better to ask than commit a culture faux pas. While navigating cross-culture communication can be a challenge, approaching culture differences with sensitivity, openness, and curiosity can help to put everyone at ease. Different approaches to professional communication is just one of the innumerable differences in workplace norms from around the world. But when working for a multinational company, you also need to learn and understand international business etiquettes. For instance, the formality of address is a big consideration when dealing with colleagues and business partners from different countries. In some cultures, like in Canada or America, it's alright to address a person you've recently met by their first name. While in many Asian countries such as Singapore, China, and South Korea, they would prefer that you address them by their surname or their title. If you are in doubt, use the formal way of address. The concept of punctuality can also differ between cultures in an international business environment. Different ideas of what constitutes being on time can often lead to misunderstandings or negative cultural perceptions. When you deal with business partners, clients, or colleagues from the US, South Korea, and Japan, you are expected to be on time. Russians are also traditionally very punctual, especially when meeting foreigners, but this can change among senior directors in new businesses as they like to demonstrate their power by keeping visitors waiting. In Germany, you are even expected to be at least 10 minutes early for your appointment, whereas Italian, Mexicans, or Indian colleagues may arrive up to 30 minutes after the scheduled start time and still be considered on time. Organizational hierarchy and attitudes towards management roles can also vary widely between cultures. Cultural norms dictate how attitudes towards management and organizational hierarchy are perceived. In some countries, such as Japan, which traditionally values social hierarchy, relative status, and respect for seniority, junior staff and people in middle management may not be allowed to speak up during meetings. In those countries, it is difficult to question decisions by senior officers or express opinions that are different from the rest. However, Scandinavian countries such as Norway, which emphasize societal equality, tend to have a comparatively flat organizational hierarchy. In turn, this can mean relatively informal communication and an emphasis on cooperation across the organization. When defining roles in multinational teams with diverse attitudes and expectations of organizational hierarchy, it can be easy to see why these cultural differences can present a challenge. As the marketplace and economies of the world merge ever closer, it is increasingly important that we come to understand and accept cultural variations and recognize their effects on the business, as it will prevent from creating misunderstandings with foreign business partners, clients, and colleagues. Culture differences are sensitive issues, and those who take the time to address these differences will have a better chance of remaining competitive and successful in the international business environment.